I'm speaking to Patrice Coeur-Bizot. He is UN Resident Coordinator in India and UNDP Resident Representative in India. Now, first of all, I just want you to make the argument for us, the connection between ICTs and development, because you're the representative for United Nations Development Programme. And we assume that ICTs bring development. Tell us, do they?
Well, this is a very interesting question, because this morning we were discussing at this session a huge development has happened in IT and communication around the world. We mentioned, according to the ITU data, that 4 billion people in the world are now being connected to a special device, either through internet, through a cell phone, etc. But at the same time, it was a study which was carried out last year by UNDP. We realized that there were 4 billion people who couldn't have access to justice, who couldn't access to a lawyer, who didn't have any information regarding the way of defending themselves. So this is this connection between this progress in terms of technology and how the e-governance, how people can benefit from this new technology. At the same time, within the context of the Millennium Development Goals, we would expect that this better communication, better information to the people, we should use it for education, for access to health systems. So this is why there's still progress to be made, but of course we would say that the world is on the right track, but there's still room for improvement in order to reach the Millennium Development Goals, which are to be reached in 5 years' time.
Usually when we think of development, we think of economic development, but you define it more broadly than that, taking in social and political development. How important is it for that sort of social and political development to take place for the economic then to follow?
No, you're perfectly right. We are going beyond the figures. What I would say that we can't measure development only in terms of gross national product. You know that there is this Human Development Index, which is readjusting, let's say, the gross national product. So people have to get access to the wealth, to have a better distribution of the wealth which is produced by the various countries. Just to give you an example, in India, there is a huge scheme which has been implemented by the national authorities with the support from the various UN agencies, including UNDP, which is the National Rural Employment Act. 50 million people have been benefited from this scheme. And through e-technology, they can check if their bank account has been credited. They can't get their salaries directly from their fingers because they are being recognized from digital access. So this is a huge transformation because people were extremely skeptical in terms of getting to their bank account, saying that they were not being paid, that nothing was controlled. So through a social audit, this new technology has been introduced, and there is a huge impact in terms of accountability, in terms of e-governance, and of course in terms of having a better development for the whole country.
Now that's great that people can hold their governments to greater account, and it results in greater transparency in government interactions with the people that live in the country. But is there any resistance from government to this sort of scrutiny?
Well, like I said, worldwide, depending on where you are, in which country you are, using technology, it's always a factor of, there's a factor of resistance, but at the same time, it's coming from the population, it's coming from the people, saying, well, we want to have the information. In the example that I was mentioning just a few minutes ago, it's from the social audit that people were questioning how accurate the information was, if there was a right distribution of incomes. So the authorities have heard this feedback, and if they wanted to be credible to their population, to their stakeholders, naturally they couldn't stop the process, and because of this information revolution, it was easily set up. In other countries, you may know that whenever the UN system is providing assistance to to elections, for example. And again, India is a good example where you have a very good technology in order to have the results immediately through a system which has been tested. So there is no argumentation in terms of results. In many other countries, it is not the case yet, and this is where reaching the development goals, having a better education for the people to be literate, to be independent from any sources, definitely it brings social development in addition to the economic development that we have defined just a few minutes ago.